When a narcissist betrays a super empath, they don't just lose a person. They lose their last doorway to redemption, their final mirror, their only chance at ever being healed by real love. From a Jungian perspective, a super empath is not just sensitive or intuitive. They are a soul who has walked through their own darkness, a being who has completed what Carl Jung called shadow integration. They have suffered, awakened, risen, and learned the most painful truth of all. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. And this is what makes them powerful. This is what makes them dangerous. This is what makes betraying them fatal. A super empath no longer loves blindly. They love with awareness. They see through lies, through arrogance, through masks, without making a sound. They can perceive the pain hiding beneath the narcissist's ego, but they no longer feel responsible for healing it. To a narcissist, this is terror, because you cannot manipulate someone who sees the whole game before it even begins. You cannot guilt-trip someone who no longer needs love to feel worthy. You cannot control someone who has mastered their own shadow. To a super empath, love is no longer emotion. It is consciousness. It is intelligence. It is discipline wrapped in tenderness. They forgive without reconnecting. They walk away without hatred. They stay kind, but their boundaries become sharp as a blade. And at this level, they become the psychological opposite of the narcissist. One lives by illusion. The other lives by awareness. One needs a mirror to survive. The other is the mirror. So when a narcissist betrays a super empath, they are not betraying a person. They are betraying a cosmic balance, a soul aligned with truth, a force that cannot be bent. They think they won. They think they escaped. But in reality, they just stepped into their own cycle of self-destruction, where everything they fear most silently returns. Silence, insignificance, isolation, the collapse of their illusion of power. And this is where their downfall begins. There comes a moment in every narcissist's story, a moment they never recognize as destiny, but always realize too late. It is the moment they meet a super empath, the only human being capable of seeing them without distortion, without fear, and without the illusions they hide behind. And though the narcissist thinks they have found another person to control, what they have actually encountered is the final mirror their soul will ever see. A narcissist walks through life wearing masks so carefully crafted that even they begin to believe them. Their charm, their confidence, their superiority, it is all armor. Armor built to protect the fragile truth they refuse to face. But super empaths, they don't get distracted by armor. They don't fall for the shine or the performance. They look straight through it, as if the mask was never there. For the first time in the narcissist's life, someone sees the essence beneath the persona. Super empaths see the internal fractures, the old wounds that shaped them, the childhood loneliness that hardened into arrogance, the fear that turned into manipulation. They see the small, helpless, terrified child still hiding inside the tyrant, not with judgment, not with hatred, but with a depth of understanding the narcissist has never known. And this is what terrifies the narcissist. Because for a narcissist, being seen clearly is not intimacy. It is exposure. It is psychological nakedness. It is the collapse of the illusion they spent their entire life maintaining. So what does a wounded ego do when someone sees the truth behind its mask? It attacks the mirror. It tries to shatter the one person who reflects reality back to them without fear. They begin to devalue, insult, belittle, sabotage, and push away the very connection that could have healed them. in their distorted mind. Destroying the mirror means destroying the truth they fear. They mistake clarity for threat. They mistake love for danger. They mistake authenticity for weakness. So they flee. Or worse, they force you to flee. And in doing so, they think they've won. They convince themselves they have regained power, regained control, regained their throne inside their imaginary kingdom. But what they don't realize is this: once the empath walks away, the mirror goes with them. And that simple loss begins the narcissist's greatest downfall, because no new admirer reflects them as deeply, no new partner sees them as clearly. No new supply reaches their soul. Everyone else only sees the mask, and the mask is never enough to give them identity. Slowly, the narcissist begins to collapse inward, not visibly at first, not publicly, but internally, where no one else can see. Without the mirror, their identity becomes shapeless. Their ego becomes hungry. Their emotions become unstable. Their sense of self becomes hollow. They start searching for the reflection they destroyed. But no matter how many faces they collect, none of them reveal who they are. None of them offer depth. None of them speak to the wounds within. Because the truth is simple: a narcissist cannot survive without a reflection. And the super empath was the only authentic reflection they ever had. So when the final mirror disappears, the narcissist is left alone with the one person they spent their life avoiding: themselves. A self with no shape, no depth, no identity, no soul. And that emptiness, that silence, that inner collapse is the beginning of their true downfall. There is a misunderstanding people often have about narcissists. They imagine that betrayal is their weapon, that they betray because they want to dominate, conquer, or win. But the deeper psychological reality, the truth Carl Jung would point toward, is far more tragic. Narcissists betray not to win, but to escape. Escape what? Not the empath, not the relationship, not the commitment. They are running from something much more terrifying: their true self. Because real love exposes what they have spent their entire life hiding: the fragile, wounded, shame-filled identity behind the grand persona. When a super empath loves a narcissist, the love isn't superficial. It isn't transactional. It isn't about ego. Empaths love with presence. They love with perception. They love with emotional vision so clear that it becomes a mirror. And this mirror reflects not what the narcissist pretends to be, but who they truly are. And that reflection is unbearable. For the narcissist, being seen is not intimacy. It is danger. It is exposure. It is the collapse of the protective illusion that kept their psyche intact. So they do what every frightened ego does when it has nowhere to hide. They run. They betray the relationship. They betray the connection. They betray the one person capable of seeing their soul, not because the empath was wrong for them, but because the empath was too right. To the narcissist, betrayal feels like freedom, a quick escape, a breath of relief, a return to the fantasy world where they never have to confront their wounds. But deep inside, beneath the bravado, beneath the denial, they know the truth. They didn't flee the empath. They fled the mirror within the empath. And once they leave, everything begins to lose flavor. Every new person feels shallow. Every admirer feels predictable. Every source of attention feels empty, like drinking water with no taste. Because what the narcissist truly misses is not the empath's love, but the depth that came with being seen authentically. You see, empaths do something no one else does. They connect to the soul, not the mask. And that level of connection creates something the narcissist has never felt before. A chance to evolve. A chance to confront the inner child. A chance to dissolve the false self. A chance to break free from the psychological prison their ego built. But the narcissist is terrified of evolution. Growth means acknowledging pain. Healing means admitting vulnerability. Transformation requires surrendering control. So instead of choosing evolution, they choose betrayal. This is why their betrayals always feel impulsive, reckless, senseless. It's not strategy, it's panic disguised as power. They run from the very light that could have reshaped them, and the cost, a spiritual emptiness that follows them everywhere they go. Every new relationship they enter feels like a downgrade. Every new supply feels like a weaker reflection. Every new admirer sees only the mask, and without depth, even admiration feels hollow. The narcissist convinces themselves they escaped, but in reality, they trapped themselves in a life where no one truly knows them. This is the tragedy. They didn't betray the empath. They betrayed their own chance at evolution. They betrayed the only relationship that could have led them into self-awareness. They betrayed the one mirror capable of showing them the path toward transformation. And once that chance is gone, it never returns with the same purity, the same clarity, or the same soul-level truth. In the end, the narcissist discovers the cruelest reality of all. Running from truth is not freedom. It is a lifetime sentence of emotional invisibility. If you truly want to understand a narcissist's downfall, do not look at their anger, their manipulation, or their drama. Look instead at the one moment they fear more than anything, the moment the empath becomes silent, because a narcissist's entire psychological structure, their control, their confidence, their illusions, is built on one fragile foundation: your reaction. A narcissist thrives on emotional movement. They feed on the rise and fall of someone else's energy. Every argument, every defense, every explanation, every tear becomes fuel for their ego. As long as you respond, they feel alive. As long as you react, they feel powerful. As long as you explain, they believe they control reality. But something profound happens when an empath awakens. Not emotionally, spiritually. The empath stops participating in the narcissist's psychological dance. They no longer defend themselves against lies. They no longer chase apologies that will never come. They no longer justify their worth to someone who is incapable of seeing it. Instead, they do something far more powerful. They become silent. This silence is not passive. It is not weakness. It is not surrender. It is the empath stepping out of the narcissist's illusion completely. And the moment this silence begins, something collapses inside the narcissist, just like Jung explained in his writings on the shadow. A person's false self can only survive as long as someone else validates it. The narcissist's power is not internal, it is borrowed. It belongs to the emotional responses of others. They reflect themselves through the chaos they create in you. But when the empath becomes silent, the reflection disappears. Suddenly there is no argument to twist, no emotion to manipulate, no reaction to feed on, no energy to drain. It feels to the narcissist like standing in a room with no walls, no shape, no echo, a terrifying emptiness they have spent their whole life avoiding. Silence becomes a mirror they cannot shatter. For the first time, their grandiosity has nothing to attach to. Their accusations lose their audience. Their rage has nowhere to land. Their gaslighting dissolves into thin air. Their control mechanisms fail like broken machinery. and the realization hits them with devastating clarity. They never had power. They only borrowed it from the empath's reactions. Every time the empath cried, the narcissist felt superior. Every time the empath defended themselves, the narcissist felt righteous. Every time the empath tried to fix things, the narcissist felt irreplaceable. But it was all an illusion, a psychological trick that collapses the second the empath stops playing the role. This is why narcissists panic when the empath withdraws. They try to provoke one last response: anger, fear, guilt, anything. They need your energy to keep their false identity alive. But the awakened empath gives them nothing. Not a word, not a reaction, not a drop of emotional fuel. And in that sacred silence, something beautiful happens. The empath regains their power, and the narcissist loses theirs. Silence becomes the boundary the narcissist cannot cross. Silence becomes the truth they cannot manipulate. Silence becomes the exit door through which the empath walks back into their own life. The narcissist is left standing alone in the ruins of a kingdom that was never real. A kingdom sustained only by the emotional energy of the one person who finally learned how to step away. Their power melts, disappears, evaporates like smoke rising from a fire that no longer has wood to burn. Because the empath didn't defeat the narcissist. They simply stopped feeding them. And that was enough to bring the entire empire down. There is a kind of love in this world that does not blind. It reveals. A love that does not worship your illusions, but illuminates your truth. A love that touches the soul instead of the ego. This is the love of a super empath, and for most people, it is healing. But for a narcissist, it is terrifying, because they have spent their entire life running from themselves. Their entire identity is a mask built to cover old wounds. The shame they never healed, the failures they never faced, the emptiness they never admitted. The empath's love shines light into all of this. A soft light, but a true one. And truth is the one thing a narcissist cannot bear. Empathic love is not naive. It sees through people with frightening clarity. Where others fall for charm, the empath sees the fracture beneath it. Where others admire confidence, the empath sees the insecurity inside it. Where others get swept into the illusion, the empath feels the pain hiding beneath it. This is why the narcissist feels exposed in a way they've never experienced. Because for the first time, someone sees them. Not the act, not the performance, not the persona they crafted to control the world, but the real self, raw, scared, unpolished, and incomplete. And that kind of seeing isn't comforting, it's unbearable. So what does the narcissist do when love becomes a mirror? They run, they twist, they destroy. They cannot accept a love that demands they be real, so they turn it into a game they know how to play. They push the empath to compete, to chase, to doubt themselves, to prove their worth. They turn love into a battlefield because a battlefield feels safer than intimacy. On a battlefield, they can win. In intimacy, they would be revealed. And so, they poison what could have saved them. They convert tenderness into threat, affection into danger, honesty into disrespect. Because deep down, the narcissist knows the truth. Real love would require them to grow. And growth is the death of the false self. The narcissist would rather lose the relationship than lose the identity that has protected them their whole life. So they sabotage everything good. They break the bond. They push the empath away. And eventually the empath, exhausted, awakened, walks away for good. This is the moment the narcissist believes they have won. They call it strength. They call it independence. They call it freedom. But what they don't realize is that the universe has just handed them the cruelest punishment they will ever face. The memory of being loved for real. A memory that will follow them into every new relationship. A memory that will rise when they are alone. A memory that will haunt them in the quiet moments between distractions. Because no new partner will love with that depth. No new supply will see them with that clarity. No new admirer will reach their soul. The narcissist will feel it, subtly at first, then sharply. Something is missing, something they once had, something they will never have again. The empath's love was not ordinary. It was transformational, and transformation leaves a permanent imprint on the psyche. So the narcissist does not just lose the empath. They lose access to a version of themselves that only existed in that love. A version that felt almost human, almost seen, almost capable of change. That is the tragedy. They destroyed the only love that could have healed them, and now they must live with the ghost of it. A ghost that never leaves. A ghost that never lies. A ghost that is the truest mirror they will ever encounter. When people hear the word karma, they imagine lightning striking, justice returning, or the universe punishing someone for what they did. But Carl Jung saw karma differently. He believed that karma is not delivered from outside. It rises from within. It is the psyche demanding balance. It is the unconscious delivering consequences for truths the ego refused to face. And this is exactly what happens to the narcissist when the empath finally walks away. The empath does not seek revenge. They do not sabotage, attack, or expose. They do not return the cruelty they endured. They simply disappear. Their silence becomes a door closing, softly, quietly, permanently. But it is this very silence that awakens what Jung would call psychic karma. Because the narcissist's entire psychological world is built on two illusions: that they can control the narrative, that they are immune to consequences, but the empath's silent departure shatters both. At first, the narcissist dismisses it. They convince themselves they are fine, they are free, they are unbothered. They celebrate the victory they believe they created, but slowly, quietly, something begins to shift inside them. The first thing to break is their peace. Suddenly their mind becomes restless. Thoughts no longer settle. The noise inside grows louder, sharper, heavier. Where the empath once brought emotional grounding, now there is only chaos. Then their sleep begins to weaken, not from guilt. Narcissists don't feel guilt the way others do, but from the psychic disturbance of losing the one person who stabilized their inner storm. Dreams turn into confusion. Nights turn into overthinking. They cannot outrun themselves in the dark. Next, success starts to lose meaning. Achievements no longer feel like triumphs. Victories feel flat. Attention from others feels shallow. Even admiration doesn't soothe them like before. Why? Because the empath's presence provided something they never recognized: a spiritual anchor, an unconscious grounding, a reflection that gave shape to their identity. Without that anchor, everything becomes hollow. The narcissist tries to fill the void quickly, with people, distractions, validation, noise. But nothing works. The thrill doesn't stick. The supply doesn't satisfy. The ego doesn't feel as inflated. This is the beginning of psychic karma. It is not punishment from the empath. It is punishment from their own mind. Jung taught that the rejected self, the denied shadow, does not disappear. It waits. And when someone refuses self-awareness, the shadow becomes destructive from within. That is exactly what happens here. The narcissist rejected the one relationship that could have led them to self-awareness. They rejected the mirror that showed them their wounds. They rejected the love that could have forced evolution. And karma begins precisely where self-awareness was rejected. So the narcissist finds themselves trapped in a psychological loop. They miss the empath's presence but refuse to admit it. They feel the loss deeply but cannot articulate why. They crave the emotional depth they once mocked but cannot recreate it with anyone new. This inner conflict becomes their private suffering, a silent punishment no one sees but them. This is the karma of the psyche. You cannot destroy someone who loved you without eventually destroying a part of yourself. The empath moves forward with clarity, strength, and emotional rebirth. Their silence is their closure. Their healing is their justice. But the narcissist, they remain haunted by what they lost, tormented by the truth they avoided, and punished not by the empath, but by the very mind they tried to escape. And that is the deepest karma of all. Narcissists believe distance is a cure. They think that once the empath is gone, the memory will fade, the emotions will settle, and the past will dissolve into nothingness. They think that silence means erasure. But there are certain souls you do not forget, certain connections that leave an imprint so deep it becomes part of your psychological structure. And the empath, especially a super empath, is one of them. For the narcissist, the empath doesn't just leave a memory. They leave an echo that becomes impossible to silence. In psychology, Jung believed that the people who touch us deeply become part of our inner world. They become symbols, archetypes, voices in the psyche. And when a narcissist loses an empath, this transformation happens whether they want it to or not. The empath becomes their conscience, their whisper of truth, their permanent inner mirror, because throughout the relationship, the empath did something no one else ever did. They saw the narcissist clearly, not the facade, not the persona, not the mask, but the truth beneath it. And once someone has been seen that deeply, they cannot forget it. That level of emotional exposure becomes a psychological tattoo, a mark that does not wash away with time. When the empath leaves, the narcissist tries to fill the void quickly. New people, new supply, new attention. But every new person exposes a comparison. They don't see me like the empath did. They don't understand me like the empath. They don't feel like the empath. And that's when the inner voice begins. A quiet whisper at first, a soft reminder of what they lost. A gentle reflection of who they were when someone loved them honestly. But over time, that whisper becomes louder, because every lie they tell, every manipulation they perform, every new victim they use, brings back the same realization. There was one person they should have protected, and they destroyed that person instead. This realization doesn't come all at once. It comes in fragments, a slow burn, not a sudden collapse. It hits them when they see someone with the empath's kindness. It hits them when they attempt the same manipulation on someone new, and it feels empty. It hits them when they lie to themselves, and the inner voice whispers, "You are doing it again. You pushed away the only truth you ever had. You ruined your chance." The narcissist tries to drown this voice in distractions, but the psyche doesn't forget. The unconscious doesn't forget. The soul definitely doesn't forget, because the empath represented something rare, the possibility of becoming a better version of themselves. And now, every time the narcissist behaves in a way the empath warned them about, every time they repeat the same toxic pattern, their mind flashes back to the empath's words, their perspective, their clarity. The empath becomes the internal narrator the narcissist can't shut off. This is the great irony. They ran from the empath to escape the mirror, but in leaving, the empath became the permanent mirror inside their psyche. They cannot run from truth. They cannot outrun memory. They cannot silence conscience forever. The empath they discarded now speaks through their thoughts, through their regrets, through their patterns, through their loneliness. A living reminder of what they had and what they will never, ever have again. This is the final psychological punishment, the deepest karmic wound. The empath stops chasing, but the narcissist spends the rest of their life being chased by the echo of the one soul who truly saw them. The narcissist continues to chase. They chase admiration, power, and attention, like a moth drawn to a fading flame. On the surface, they perform brilliantly, captivating the crowd, playing the role with perfect ease. They walk the stage of their ego, dazzling with charm and confidence. But inside, something is deeply hollow, a void that applause cannot fill, a silence that even the loudest cheers cannot drown out. This is the tragic reality. Without the empath's gaze, nothing feels real anymore. Why? Because the empath was not just another spectator. They were the only one who truly saw the person behind the mask. Most people see what the narcissist wants them to see, a glittering persona, a crafted image. But the empath pierced through the illusions. They saw the fragile soul beneath the ego's armor. They understood the wounded child hiding inside the grandiosity. They held a mirror to the narcissist's authentic self, a reflection that was both terrifying and transformative. Now that the empath is gone, the narcissist is left with many trophies, but none with meaning. The applause that once fueled their sense of worth feels hollow. The success they fought so hard to achieve tastes like ash on the tongue. The love they grasp feels shallow, like a pale imitation of what they once had. Each victory is a reminder, not of achievement, but of loss. Because the deepest wound the narcissist carries is not the loss of power or prestige. It is the loss of being seen. To be truly seen is a rare gift. It's to be recognized for who you really are, beyond the facades and masks. It's to have someone hold your truth without judgment or demand. It's a connection so profound, it breaks through the defenses of the ego. The empath offered this connection. They gave the narcissist a glimpse of something real, something lasting, and in doing so, they became the silent anchor to the narcissist's soul. When the empath leaves, the narcissist's victories lose their grounding. They become performances without an audience who truly matters. Imagine standing on a stage, bathed in spotlight, but hearing only echoes. Imagine holding a trophy, but feeling no pride. Imagine hearing, "I love you," but sensing no depth behind the words. This is the narcissist's reality after the empath walks away. No amount of admiration can replace the empath's authentic gaze. No accumulation of power can fill the emptiness left by genuine connection. No string of lovers can mask the profound loneliness of being invisible inside. This emptiness gnaws at their core, a wound that no external achievement can heal. Carl Jung spoke of the wounded healer, a soul that carries its deepest pain, yet also holds the key to transformation. For the narcissist, this wound is their greatest paradox. It is both their curse and their potential doorway to growth, if only they dare to face it. But most narcissists run from this pain. They continue to chase external validation, ignoring the silent voice within that cries out for something real. And so, every victory becomes meaningless. Every achievement is a shadow without substance. Every applause is a reminder of the connection they lost. In the end, the narcissist's greatest tragedy is not the loss of others, but the loss of themselves, because the empath was the last true reflection of their soul. Without that reflection, they wander through life like a ghost, performing endlessly, yet never truly living.